y'all? It's your boy Anthony Jones with No Surrender, No Retreat podcast, and I got a special episode today. It was like burning on my mind because I had just came like to a realization. And first off, I should give a shout out to Chase Hughes on the inspiration of this video because I watch his videos a lot. And I wish I could have him on my podcast to converse with him about some of these topics that he go over. But the main one that I was stuck on and intrigued with was the conversation of authority. But what he talks about is established authority, or like how to look and pretty much how to look if you want somebody to perceive you in a room as an authoritative figure. And there's a couple of things he said you need movement, appearance, confidence, connection, and intent. And with movement, you kind of like, authoritative figures or boss like figures move in a certain way. A lot of them have a clean cut appearance. They don't look rugged because obviously if you look unprofessional, nobody's gonna really take you seriously or want to hear what you have to say or feel like you know anything for that matter. I mean, because a lot of people visuals perception is reality. You'll hear that a lot of the times in the military. Nobody really cares how much work you do. They only care about what they see you doing in that moment. And confidence. You obviously have to sound like you know what you're talking about. If you don't have any confidence, nobody's going to listen to you at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you sound unsure about what you're saying, alarm bells are going to go off in people's mind. Like, this guy really doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm not sure what he said about connection. And I'm not going to sit here and know. Maybe when he said connection, I have to go back and watch the video, but maybe when he said connection, he was talking about between you and that person and the intent. Intent was the last thing he said you needed. Maybe this is what I think. You guys, this is actually what I want you to do is go to Chase Hughes' channel and go watch this. But what I think he meant by intent, and until I go back and watch it, is that like why do you feel like you need to have authority over this person, like whether that's the lead or whatever. But what I'm here to talk about today, and what you read by the title is what exactly is authority? Because when I was watching his videos, I'm like, you're saying all this stuff, but I don't know what the fuck authority is. Like, I've heard of it. You know, you hear about authoritative figures, but like I was really trying to get into the weeds and in depth of what authority was. And once you understand what authority is, you understand how it's used to actually manipulate and why it's the keys of manipulation. And without authority, you don't get manipulation. You got to drink the Kool-Aid in order to be influenced by it. You feel me? But we're going to get into what exactly authority is. First, I'm going to give you the hard definition, and I'm going to give you life experience and how I figured out what that is, right? And I'm going to give you some real world examples, okay? Define authority. Authority is a legitimate power, right, or mandate to command thought, opinion, or behavior, often derived from a formal position, expertise, or legal authorization. It encompasses both the capacity to enforce obedience and specialized knowledge that grants credibility. And you know what I'm saying? Without reading that, I figured that out like you know what I'm saying? Until you read definitions, it gives you a definition to a word will literally give you all the answers you need. But nobody really talks about what authority is and how somebody can get that over you, right? I'm gonna talk about how You need authority in order to manipulate. We're going to get into that right now. So with this, okay, so we're going to say a parent, right? That's your perceived authoritative figure. You're taught and raised that, you know what I'm saying, they've been alive longer than you have. They're your parent. They obviously know more than you, and they also give. So you need two things from a parent that they can give you: the fear of consequence or knowledge, or you need to have both. That's how you get authority. You need to have two of these or one or both. It's better if you have both. But if they have knowledge, some perceived knowledge, if you got in your mind, okay, wow, this person needs to know a lot. This needs to know a lot. They know a lot. I need this information from them. I need to learn from them because they know much more than I do. So now I have your attention. You're going to listen to me because in your mind, I know more than you. So I take command of your mind, right? Or you have fear of consequence. If you don't do what I say, this is going to happen to you, right? If you don't do what I say, you're going to get a whooping. If you don't do what I say, I'm going to take your game. If you don't do what I say, you don't get to read no books. That's fear of consequence. You actually have to be scared of that consequence, right? So in order, you have to have one or both of those things to be a perceived authoritative figure. It's the same reason you would listen to a doctor. When you go to a doctor, why do you listen to them? They went to school for X amount of years to tell you how your body works, right? Right. So you're going to do, you know what? Listen to him. I got to listen to my doctor. He knows what's best for my health. Right. But in your mind, if you feel like you know more than your doctor, you're probably not going to listen to them. But they also have perceived, you probably have a perceived consequence when I'm telling you, hey, if you don't listen to me, this is going to happen to you. Your blood pressure is going to spike. This and this and that. They got both. They got both. Doctors and people in high places have authority. Or when you go to a job, those people have authority over you. Why? Because one, in most cases, they don't have both. They normally just have one. Because a lot of people that are in managerial positions probably just have a degree, right? And they don't know much about the work that you do unless they come from the working position into that position. A lot of the times they don't really know a lot. So you probably not listening to them for the knowledge aspect. You're listening to them because of the consequence, because you care about your job, right? So I either do what they say or they're going to fire my ass. That's the fear of consequence, right? That's another example of authority right there. Some of the times they do have knowledge, so you're gonna listen to them because they know better. You know what I'm saying? They know a lot about the job more than you do. At that point, it's still like a teacher-student relationship. So that's another version of authority. A cop is authority. I mean, they may know the law more than you, or you may know the law, but the only reason you really listen is because you don't want to go to jail. You're gonna follow the law because you don't want to go to jail. That's the fear of consequence right there. And most of the time, authority is most of the time in the positions of power. They have some type of power. It's some type of power dynamic going on that allows them to have authority. And you see this a lot in tribes as well. Tribe is the tribe leader is the guy that knows what's best for the group. And you all believe that. You all drank the Kool-Aid to believe that this guy knows that what's best for the group, right? So you listen to him, but there's a consequence. If you don't listen to him and they feel like you're a threat to his leadership and or the tribe, guess what? Your ass is gone. And a lot of people, the worst thing that Chase Hughes says this, I don't want to take credit for it. He talks about the tribal aspect because the worst thing that could happen to you back then is to be outcasted from the group. But if you don't give a damn, that motherfucker loses authority over them, because authority isn't something that you have, it's something that you give. You give to something that has to be given to them. But if you never give them that power over you, it's kaput. And this is why I say I'm gonna get into the next topic, how you can use this to manipulate. But not only can you use this to manipulate, you can do the right thing and use it to lead. But we're going to get into topics of conversation on how you can use this to manipulate. This is the other end and other pillar of this. I got to go to my notes so I don't make sure I don't go off topic. A lot of the times, and relationships, right? If you're in a toxic relationship, they have, whether or not you believe it, don't just have to be the law, a doctor, your parents, the government that has anybody can have authority over them. It's a power that you give that person. So let's just say you're in a relationship, right? Um, they could have, like I said, they could have only one of those things. They may not be smarter than you. You might be the smartest person in the world, but they have the fear of consequence. They might know, or you might have been vulnerable with them, and they have some sort of secret about you that you probably don't want getting out. Or you know what I'm saying? They have some type of if you don't listen to me or do my bidding, this is going to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to hurt you, or, you know what I'm saying? They have a fear of making you feel alone, like they're going to leave you because they're going to make that in your mind feel like that's the worst thing possible that could happen to you because nobody's going to want you. They implant that in your mind. Nobody's going to want you. But like I said, you have to drink the Kool-Aid. You have to sit there and believe exactly what they're telling you. You have to believe that shit. I mean, because I mean, what else do they have? Like, there's no knowledge there. If you a lot of time, a lot of these people in these toxic relationships do have both, and that's just one instance of it. Leadership can have that too. You know what I'm saying? The threat of firing you if you don't. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the time, you could be doing some work that kind of doesn't, go along with your job description, or it's not really right to do. And they will say, you know what I'm saying? If you don't do this shit, then I'm going to fire you. I'm going to find a way to make sure you get fired. That's manipulation. I mean, that's manipulation because they have some sort of authority over you, some sort of power over you, and you actually you fear this outcome. I feel like that's the most powerful form of authority is the fear of consequence. I mean, knowledge, you can get both though. You become unquestionable. You become, you know what I'm saying, unfuckwittable in a way. Because, you know what I'm saying, you're not gonna question anything that they tell you. Oh, you're right. You know what I'm saying? If you in your mind feel like that person is better than you or knows more than you, you've pretty much put yourself in a defeated state. I mean, there's nothing else. There's nothing else you can do. But the only threat here is in your mind. The only threat here is in your mind. Once that shit goes away, their whole power dynamic goes away. There's really nothing else they got. I'll give you an example. A parent, right? You might have manipulative parents, right? And they tell you, you know what I'm saying, oh, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you know what I'm saying, we just not gonna talk to you anymore. Or, you know what I'm saying? They just feel like, oh yeah, you gotta do this because of X, Y, and Z. Well, if you just feel like your parents are just people that just so happen to be responsible for you at that time or just raised you, I mean, they really have no power over you. I mean, if you don't really give a damn what they're saying, if you feel like your parents don't really know what the hell they're talking about, they have no more power over you. And especially as a grown adult, you're on your own, right? You have your own shit. What fear of consequence do you have? What are they gonna do? Whip your ass? They can't. Well, I mean, they can claim they know more than you, but I mean, a lot of parents fail to realize that there are known knowns and there are unknown knowns. You feel me? There's just things you can't predict, and you can't seem to know everything. A man that claims to know everything knows nothing. I thank my wife for that one. She put me on game with that sentiment. Everything that I know has come from other people. I don't know everything, and I've accepted that. You know what I'm saying? I know I don't know everything. I can't see everything coming. That's why you got to have good people in your corner. You got to have good people in your corner, and people. You have to be careful who you give authority in your life. I'll tell you that right now. And a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? I had to learn. You don't really truly understand some. I mean, that's how I learned. I just hope that, you know what I'm saying, me telling you this stuff, y'all don't go through the same thing, or hell, if you did, this ends the cycle of manipulation for you. But I hope me telling you this stuff breaks that wall, and you have a breakthrough just like I did. But in order for me to understand the application of these things, one, I had to read the 48 Laws of Power. Two, I had to understand the 48 Laws of Power, but I didn't really understand it until I got some real world applications. When some shit happens to you, I mean, that the uh, practicalness is the best teacher. Real life application is the best teacher. When shit happens to you, then it's that's when it clicks. You know, you ever heard like your parent tell you something and it don't make sense until you went through it? It's kind of like one of those things: wisdom versus knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's a reason why a lot of people in jobs crave hands-on experience just before learning it, because you don't really truly understand unless you put hands on the shit. Because a lot of the times when people go to school for stuff, they think they know until they go and do it, and it's like, damn, this not like how it was in the book. Like, because it's not very specific. I mean, it names a. Actually, I take that back. It is very specific, but life is strange. Life got like their specific situations to certain situations, and you can take those specific situations out of the book and apply it to your life. It's not going to go exactly how it says it is in the book, but it still can be used. But you don't quite understand that until it happens to you, like that real life application. I don't know if I'm making sense to y'all. I could be yapping, but it is coming from a place of wanting to help. But like I said, Chase Hughes goes over being in a position of authority. I'm going over the counter to that authority. Because there is always two sides to a coin. There has to be somebody that receives that authority, but you have to be careful. Not all authority is bad. Not all authority is bad. Like in a situation where like you are a coach and you have a student, or you are the student and they are the coach. One, you have to feel like that you don't know everything, and he's a coach for a reason, or the coach might not know as much as you think they do. But there's a reason why coaches be like, you have to allow yourself to be, coachable. And some people aren't really. I think I figured out the problem. Some people aren't really comfortable with giving somebody that level of authority over them, because you have to accept that. I mean, that could be an ego thing, but you have to accept that you don't know everything. In that moment, you don't know everything, and then they know more than you, and you have to allow yourself to be taught. But if you don't accept that they have the knowledge, because I mean, obviously, if you're not listening to them already, you don't have a fear of consequence, because you can just go to another gym. That's always a thing. That's always an option. You can just go to another gym. But no matter where you go, you have to give them some level of authority. So no matter what you do in life, somebody is going to have some level of authority over you, but you can decide whether or not it's manipulative or to lead you. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, you're gonna have to use a level of discernment to decide which one they want to enact on you, and learn the experience. But not all authority is bad. Some people are actually trying to help you. And like I said before, a man that claims to know everything knows nothing. My wife said that, and that's probably one of the best things I've ever heard, because certain individuals that claim that they know everything, like I once thought that they were superhuman, but you can't know everything. You can't see everything coming. That's why people have advisors in a company, and different levels of stuff, because to catch things, because the human mind can only think about so much. You know what I'm saying? So knowledge, the key takeaways from this is knowledge and fear of consequence. That's why dogs listen to you. I don't really know if a dog think you know everything, but I know this form of authority exists, is fear of consequence, and not in a bad way, but it could be like, all right, you have to give the dog something to like treats, right? or attention, right? If the dog doesn't do what you want it to do, guess what? They learn the fear of consequence because it's like, I'm not petting you for doing something that I did not want you to do, or I'm not going to give you a treat for messing up the couch. And it's going to realize, oh shit, like, damn, I don't get no treats for doing that. I don't like that shit. So now it becomes a fear of consequence. And guess what you get? Authority. Because now there's a fear of consequence there. Because, like, if I don't do what this person says, I'm not going to get the stuff I like. I'm not going to get the belly rubs I want. I mean, so that's how you have to understand it in the simplest of terms. It's like, why does this person listen to me? Is it a fear of consequence, or is it because I know better? And that's why I feel like teachers kind of lose it, because once they leave the classroom and the kids start acting up, do they really have authority? Like, I remember Chase Hughes talking about this shit, like when it was the Milgram experiment. If the doctors left the room, would they still be continuing the experiment, or is it that only he was there? I mean, because I think the authority level that was at that moment was that the fact that those people, it's a doctor, you know what I'm saying? And they're performing the experiment to learn, and they're telling you, I don't know if y'all familiar with the Milgram experiment, but I'm gonna go read it out for you guys, because it was something that I learned about through Chase Hughes, and I feel like that was a good ass fucking experiment to talk about. But like I said, this thing didn't. Hindsight is fucking 2020. At the time I was watching it, I was amazed by it. I thought I understood, but now it's like my level of understanding as I go through life increases vastly. This shit be hitting me like a freight train. But hold on, let me go to the Milgram experiment for y'all. What was the Milgram experiment? Okay. The Milgram Experiment was a series of social psychology studies conducted by Stanley Milgram in the 1960s at Yale University, which measured the willingness of participants to obey authority. Remember, we already talked about authority, right? Authority is knowledge, and authority is also fear of what? Consequences. Which one do you think the doctor has? The scientist had? Ask yourself that while I read this. All right, where was I? I said, blah, blah, an authority figure. Okay. Which measured the willingness of participants to obey an authority figure who instructed them to perform acts that conflicted their personal consciousness. The core finding was that a surprisingly high portion of people would inflict what they believed to be painful, even dangerous electric shocks on another person when ordered to do so by an experimenter in a white lab coat. Now, let me go over the procedures. Recruitment and setup. Milgram recruited male participants, later also women in one variation, for what they believed was a memory and learning study advertised in the newspaper. Roles. Participants were introduced to a learner, an actor / confederate of the experimenter, in the role of the teacher and learner were assigned through a rigged drawing, ensuring the actual participant always became the teacher. Damn. Okay, the task. The teacher was seated in front of a shock generator with switches ranging from 15 to 450 volts, which describes from slight shock to danger, severe shock, and XXX. They were instructed to administer an increasingly intense electrical shock to the learner for every wrong answer on a word pair test. The deception, the shocks were not real, but the teacher believed they were. In an adjacent room, the actor would play pre-recorded audios of protests, grunts, screams, and eventually fall silent as the voltage increased. Prods to obey. If the teacher hesitated or wanted to stop, the experimenter would use a sequence of verbal prods to encourage them to continue. Please continue, or please go on. The experiment requires that you continue. It is absolutely essential that you continue. If you have no other choice, you must go on. Oh, if you have no other choice, you must go on. Damn, you have no other choice. Why do they feel like if they stopped? That was my question. What made them feel like if they stopped, something was going to happen? You have no other choice. Just because somebody, I mean, authority was already established, cause so you could just say whatever you want at that point. So I answered my own question there. But look, this is the results. In the most well-known variation, 65% of participants, 26 out of 40 administered the maximum 450 volt shock, despite showing extreme signs of tensions and distress, such as sweating, trembling, and nervous laughter. Every participant continued to at least 300 volts. Now, let me ask y'all something. How many volts do you think it will take to end a person's life? Unalive them, we'll say. And we're going to go back to this because there was a lot more to that. Let's see. How many? I think it's 200 and something volts. How many volts does it take to... All right, let's see. Searching. Assuming steady current is opposed, shocks above 2,700 volts often fatal, with those above 11,000 volts being usually fatal. Through exceptional cases would have been noted. Hold on. This shit says there is no set level that dictates the lethality of voltage. Generally, voltage levels above 50 are considered lethal or potentially dangerous under certain circumstances, such as the path of the current, the duration. So it's saying for some people, at standard voltage above 2,700 or 11,000, 2,700 and 11,000 are considered a lethal dose of electrical current. So, so basically what it's telling me is results may vary, but I feel like that is enough to fuck somebody up. But a lot of people, let me see if 300 volts is enough. Is 300 volts fatal? Yes. Yep. See, it says right here, 300 volts of electricity is more than enough to kill a human being. While amperage current is primary cause of death, 300 volts is well above the roughly 50 volt threshold that can break through skin resistance and cause fatal high amperage. What about 250? What about 250? So everybody pretty in that room pretty much unalive somebody. Nobody went to not everyone went to the last current of XXX, but 100% of the people got to 300 volts. The possibility of death from contact with electricity is increased when the electric current passes through the chest or head contact, and electrical currents of more than 250 volts generally cause death, but death may also result from the current as low as 32 volts. So, I mean, even with any number of those volts that was given, let's go back to the Milgram Experiment, but any volts of those that was given could kill somebody. All right, so back to this. The results, it says 65% of people, 65% of the participants, so that's 26 out of 40 people, administered the maximum 450 volt shock, despite showing extreme signs of distress, such as sweating, trembling, and nervous laughter. Every single participant continued to at least 300 volts. As you just read, that is enough to kill somebody. Unalive, my bad. I don't know what YouTube's rules are anymore, but the experiment demonstrated the powerful influence of authority that showed that ordinary individuals can be led to commit harmful acts against their moral beliefs when instructed by perceived legitimate authority figure. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys is you can be manipulated to do all types of shit if that person has authority over you. That power, you know what I'm saying? You have to give them that power. And obviously, as you just read, people have been convinced to off somebody just because somebody said so, because of perceived authority. But once that authority goes away, they have no power over you. And I feel like this this experiment should be gone over, and not just psychology, but everywhere. I mean, honestly, it could be taught to your kids, but you know what I'm saying? People are willing to throw away they know better just because authority. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, this shit is mind boggling to me to think that a lot of people, they say they knew better, but because somebody told them so, like, oh yeah, you got to do this. You got to continue. You must continue. You know what I'm saying? And they basically, I mean, they didn't really, but theoretically, if that person was real, that was getting shocked, they all are going to jail for murder, theoretically. The Milgram experiment was highly controversial due to the significant psychological stress placed on participants and the use of deception. The controversy led to the establishment of stricter ethical guidelines and review boards for psychological research involving human subjects. But hey, as you know, like I just said, the best practice is the practical ones, the real life ones. I mean, the real tests or anything that's perceived to be real anyway. That felt very real for those individuals. But like I said, this just goes to show you and reinforce what I'm talking about as far as this authority. Authority can make you do anything. You can lead anybody to do anything. Whether that you can lead them down a path of darkness or you can lead them down a path of greatness. But as long as that person has that power of authority over you, they have the power over your life. But the key to that is you can't give them that power, or you have to not care. The art of not giving a fuck. Let me see. Hold on. Let me look up something. The art of not giving. It's the reason why I'm looking this up. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson is a counterintuitive self-help approach to arguing that improving life comes from caring less about trivialities and more truly about truly important controllable values. It teaches you that because our time and energy is limited, we must prioritize what truly matters, like family, passion, and accept that rather than avoid life inevitable, negative, and uncontrollable experiences. Well, I mean, in my aspect of not giving a fuck, it's just like, just accept the fact that, you know, even your parents don't know everything. They can't know everything. It's not possible to know everything. And two, the fear of consequence. You have to actually care about that consequence. As long as you don't care, as long as you don't give a fuck, what power do they really have? They have none. And the best thing that you can do with manipulators is to walk away. But in order to be able to do that, you have to put in your mind that they have no power over you. They don't know anything. They're human just like you are. And anything that they know, you can go learn yourself. And if they truly do have a fear, a consequence over you, you just have to unlearn everything that they told you. You're not useless. You're not none of these things. And also you have to be preparing yourself in the escape plan if you are in these situations, because choosing to stay is ultimately your choice. You have to be the one that sets up in your mind that you are going to leave. And that's all I have to say for today. I had to strike where the iron was hot. And my name's Anthony Jones with No Surrender, No Retreat podcast. And y'all go check out Chase Hughes, man. Go check out fucking Chase Hughes. His videos are great. A real life master at his craft. And man, I would love to have dude on my podcast one day. That would be great. To pick his brain about certain things, authority being one of them, and tribe. He talks about tribe a lot too, which we covered on here, and how a tribe needs authority for it to work as well. A lot of things in life require authority in order for some to get another human being to listen to you. Chase Hughes covers how to look and act to enact authority. I'm telling you the other end of it. Why it works on you and why it's the key to manipulation. And that's what we cover today. That's our conclusion. One of the greatest teachers I ever had told me, life's a game. You got to know how to play it. And the best way to play it is not to play at all. As funny as that sounds, the best way to play is not to play at all, bro. If they're playing a game, don't play with them. Walk away, and you win that game. You win that game. If they have nobody to play with, how can they fuck with you? And that's it.